Okay.
And again, we just give it to me.
Oh gosh. I feel like you have this ready to go.
All right. So here's the question. What is a background friend? Does it bother you whether you're that person or that somebody in your circle is? And what does it feel like, and how to overcome it?
I've not heard anything called a background friend, but if I had to define it, I would say that that's someone that you kind of reach out to, call on when you're bored. Like they're not in your main circle where you are keeping them like it's not someone you'd call the, first person you'd tell all your fun things to, or
right.
they're, to me, I don't know that I'd call it I don't know, a background friend or an acquaintance. To me, that's an acquaintance, but you kind of, is that someone that you've been friends with before and you've had a closeness with and you don't want to break those ties with because letting go can be hard, and you've had history together, but you just now put them kind of on the back burner more so than.
I mean, for me, I feel like the background friend, this is my interpretation of the background friend, is like they don't really engage, like they feel, okay, I can't speak from their perspective because I don't feel like I'm a background friend in any circle that I'm in. Mm-hmm. However, I can speak from the perspective of a recent conversation that I had
okay.
about somebody expressing to me that my personality is too big, and that they feel smothered, or that other people could feel smothered or taken over by my presence. And for that, I was like, interesting, because there's a lot of times I actually pulled back my personality just so other people could feel less background. Okay. In situations, maybe not as a background,
okay,
or in events and stuff like that.
So to me, from that example, it sounds like we're defining background friend as someone in the shadows of your success or your personality.
Shadows of success, just shadows of your life, probably. Like I feel like if you're calling yourself a background friend, or if you feel that way, then you're the person feeling that way. You know what I mean? Like versus like making yourself more present in the shadower's life. I don't know like how to say it, but yeah, I
think that if someone feels like they're a background friend, that's their issue to own. So yeah,
I can agree.
I think that it's not your responsibility as the forefront friend, because I don't know another term for that, to make them feel, I mean, you could do all the things and make them feel included, and you could, water down your big personality and do all of those things. But what ultimately ends up happening is that you now diminish yourself, and yet they're still feeling that way. So that is their feeling to own.
True.
So if they have an issue with being the background friend, one, they should be bringing it to your attention, like an adult conversation about it. If you guys are friends, this should be an adult conversation about how they're feeling. You may not agree with it. You may not see it from their perspective, but they should be the one bringing that up.
Yeah.
I think another thing to overcome that is that it stems from not being able to set your own boundaries.
Huh? Like how so? What do you mean?
Because you've allowed yourself to be put in that position, and you haven't really stood up for yourself in that way. And I think a lot of the reasons why you haven't stood up for yourself is because you feel like that person has got a big personality, right? So that can be hard to kind of go up against if you don't feel like your personality is as strong. But that's your own personal inadequacies. Has nothing to do with you as the friend in the forefront, right?
Yeah.
And I think that we have to own that sometimes. It's not fun.
Yeah.
I've felt in the shadows of friends before, and there's been jealousy before of things, not in the sense that I wouldn't want them to achieve those things, right. Or that I would want to undercut them in any intentional way of holding them back. But I've had to recognize my own role in friendships before when I've had close friendships that have dissolved out of no real reason. It's not like anything really happened.
Yeah.
And it felt very hurtful. But at one point in my adult life, not too many years ago, I had to come to the terms that if I'm the person standing in that person's way,
Yeah.
I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
Because I'm not doing it intentionally.
That's the thing. It's like, how would you be the person standing in their way? You know what I mean? Like,
I never understood. It's not for me to understand how I'm in their way, but sometimes people don't know how to explain that. They just kind of move on and they start moving in different directions and they leave you behind, right? And that can feel hurtful. And it can feel hurtful at first, but I felt like it gave me a new perspective that if I'm the one in the way and you have to set your boundary is to kind of push me to the sidelines because you've got to do what you need to do. I'm not saying that that's necessarily the right thing. I just think that you just evolve, right? Yeah, relationships evolve and you either move in the same direction or you don't.
Yeah. I like, was it reasons in a season, right? Like everybody's.
Yeah. I mean, I have quite a few longtime friends at this point. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that we don't know that person's going to be in my life when I'm 50, 60, 70. We don't know.
Hey, I'm going to be here. Okay.
We got rocking chairs with our names on them, right? I mean, you don't know where life is going to take you. And sometimes you have ebbs and flows. Like we've had seasons in our friendship where maybe it would feel like background friends because we were concentrated on other things. Like our relationship's established. It doesn't need a lot of effort and input. We're there when we need each other and like we're doing other things, right?
Like I was reading and the definition, I guess, was something about, well, if you have a group of friends and let's say, I'm just going to say 4 for the sake of talking. Okay. And you're the background friend, right? You're the 4th person and the other 3 seem to click and hang out and, know stuff more than you. And then you're like the afterthought and they're like, yeah, did anybody invite Sarah? And everyone's like, oh yeah. And then you get there and everybody's got their own inside jokes and, stuff like that. And I'm like, I feel like
I do understand that feeling.
Yeah, you do. Because
I do.
I accept my role in whatever that, when I say my role, it's like when I come into, it's okay. Prime example. There was this particular group of ladies who, as adults, like, I'm not looking for a new clique. You know what I'm saying? And, they were like, hey, girl, and they're like, they started inviting me to stuff. And then while I was there, it didn't vibe with me, right? Like with my spirit and all the rest of it. I was kind of like, I don't know about this. And then, but I still tried, right? Because I was like, maybe it's me, you know what I mean? Or whatever. And then, prime example, this particular young lady, she texted me and, I'll text you back. You know what I'm saying? I'll try to be as quick as possible, right? Or whatever, like as soon as I can get to you. And she would always want me to respond quickly. And then I messaged her one day. It wasn't anything important, but it was just, like whatever it was. And then 3 days later, she texted me back. And my response to her, I do remember my response being, I messaged you 3 days ago. And her response back was, oh, I was taking a nap. I'm done.
So what's the lesson in this, Sabrina?
You said what?
So what's the lesson?
The lesson in that was, I'm going to treat you how you want to be treated, right? You know how to treat people how they want to be treated. You're not going to do me any kind of way. So I'm not going to be the background friend that the afterthought and all the rest of that. I'm not going to be that person where you can fluff me off, but you want all of my attention all the time when you demand it. So no, ma'am, you cool. I don't hate you. I don't have no ill will, but guess what? From this point forward, I see you and you should see me the way you saw me.
Yeah. That's when you set the boundary of like, I'm not that available.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm good. And it's not. And so what I'm saying is I respect that, right? Like I respect the fact that that's how you want to move. So respect the fact that this is how I'm moving. Like I'm not mad at that. Do you? You know what I mean? Like, okay.
Right.
You just taught me how to treat you.
Right.
You just showed me how I need to respond and react and, that type of thing. I don't hate you. It's not like I'm like, oh my God, I'll never be around you. Yeah, we can hang out. But again, I'm going to give you the same energy you gave me.
Yeah, I feel that way when you consistently invite someone and they say they're coming, and then all of a sudden they're just constantly something else comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the expectation is to think, oh, well, you have to understand I'm like a mom, and you never know what's going to happen with the kids, and like last minute things happen all the time, and you want to. I think there's just that perception or that stigma, like I wouldn't understand because I'm not a mom or I don't have kids, but I'm very much a person that if I commit to something, I'm making it happen.
Absolutely.
There's only been a handful of times. There's only been a handful of times that I can think of that have been like I've made a commitment and I've had to back out for whatever reason because I do and one of those times I remember was coming to visit you.
Yeah.
And I just, and I couldn't explain it. It is the worst feeling to not be able to explain it, but it was like an intuitive experience that I was having that said, do not go.
Yeah. And I mean, I was disappointed, but at the same time, I understood. I wasn't like,
I know, and I had a lot of feelings about it
but
too.
You can't.
Because I didn't have a reason, right? Yeah. I didn't have a reason, what I felt was a good enough reason to back out of that commitment.
Yeah.
But I realized that a lot of other people don't really do that, and they have a lot of. But I've learned to look at that as like they don't know how to set boundaries with their own time.
Yeah.
And make it not about me.
Yeah. At some point, like
it used to ruin my day.
Yeah, seriously.
It would ruin my day.
Because if I tell you, like, I'm that person that if I tell you, September 1st in 2045, if I'm not dead, I'm going to be there at 2:00. You don't have to call and remind me. You don't have to send me a, hey, did you get, like, I will be there looking for you, like, where you at? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the person I am. And I'm like, I feel like that dependability, again, treat people how you want to be treated. That's how I want to be treated. And I know, people always say, you can't put, how you do people, how you do people on other people. And I'm like, but isn't that the golden rule?
I don't know. I feel like you could do it one of two ways. You could keep doing what you do with every single person and treat them all the same way, right?
Yeah.
So meaning like in this case, being responsive, right? So no matter what she does, you're always responsive because that's who you are and your character is. And that's because you want to be reliable and whatever. Or you can be the person that looks at them and says, yeah, no, I'm not going to spend my energy doing that. Because I'm not going to go out of my way. I'm not going to, worry about it if I'm responsive, especially if I'm busy doing something that's more important right now, if that person isn't going to be that kind of person too.
Right. Like that. I just feel like expelling my energies on people who don't want to expel the same energies is not beneficial. It's not a mutually beneficial.
What they say, match my energy, right?
Right.
People want reciprocation. People get, a lot of people will get really upset because like the giver versus the receiver.
Yeah.
Conversation.
Yep.
Like people who give all the time, they're like typically they're upset because that's not reciprocated back, right? People aren't giving back to them. I look at it like, if you're giving because you're waiting to receive something in return, you're going to be upset. Like, because that's not the intention behind giving. Like giving is supposed to be like just a heartfelt, I have time, talent, and treasures that will help you get to wherever you need to go for whatever situation you're in, right? And being able to make the time to help with something. But you get it from somewhere else, right? Like someone else is giving to you and maybe you don't have the energy to reciprocate that back to them.
Yeah. I mean, it was the circle of life, right? Like we're all bringing in. I just feel like we all have choices when it comes to this type of stuff. And people feel like they don't sometimes. Like instead of just, walking away from a situation or a person or whatever, that doesn't necessarily feel great. We always forget that we have that choice.
It does feel like a stronghold, and I know your cutoff game is strong. So,
but like, and then the crazy part is my cutoff game is strong as ever. See,
I'm working on mine. I'm working on mine.
However, if I re-engage, and we all know how strong my cutoff game, you know what I'm saying, game is, like, if I re-engage you and, you know, try to kind of, I don't know, whatever, mend or have some type of relationship, and then you get me again, you know what I mean? Like, or whatever the situation is just not, it's not healthy, it's not beneficial. I do feel like I've done my due diligence and this is where I'm at. And I know a lot of people feel like that's not right. You can't, you know, just cut people off. You'll cut the whole world off. And it's like, I am more, it's more than protecting my peace. It is protecting my energy. And the reason those are two different things, right? Because we are all energy in this world.
Yeah.
That's all we are. We're a ball of energy. And if I'm expelling so much energy into you, I'm taking that away from myself and thereby taking away from somebody else that actually could benefit from it in a positive way, and we can recharge each other. Mm-hmm. So I'm being more cognizant of that. I feel like I've always been cognizant of that. However, you know, it doesn't always bode well with the other people and family, especially. Okay, because I have a whole lot of family that's like giving me the side eye, and I'm giving them the side eye right back. Like, we're not gonna not discuss how you just betrayed me or did something crazy, and we just gonna sit at the family picnic and act like everything's okay. Like, I'm not about that. And especially if you don't want to talk about it or have a real conversation about it, like, I just have no, and I'm working on that, but like, I have no tolerance for it because I can't phony kick it. I can't sit here. Maybe I can, but I'm bad at it. Can you phony kick it? Are you good at phony kicking it?
Okay, so yeah, so I do have the ability to put myself in a mental space to handle that situation.
Okay.
You know, everybody has like family things that happen, and we're just using family as an example. Yeah. Where you know that you're going to see that other person, and maybe at that time you've got some beef going on that hasn't been resolved or whatever. Or you're just really mad about something and haven't cleared the air yet. Yes, I can go, or an even better scenario, they need help with something, and now your family, and you need to jump in. Our family has been really good, like really good at, I mean, I've had siblings that have not talked for, like, we're talking long periods of time, like a year or more, but then something happens and it's all hands on deck.
Yeah. I don't think it would be all hands on deck when it comes to me and my family.
Yeah. And it may not be. Everybody handles their things differently. Yeah. But for us,
I would be all hands on deck for them, but I don't think they'll be all hands on deck for me.
Yeah, you have a culture in your family, right? Everybody has a culture in their family. And I think one of the reasons why we get married and have our own family is because we want to create our own culture.
Bingo.
You know, of what we think it should be. You know, family dynamic should be. But you know, I've got 4 siblings. I'm one of 5, so there's a lot of different personalities in our small little family. Ooh, and so there hasn't always been like peace and well-being.
Right.
But we've always been able to jump in where we've needed to.
Yeah.
Always.
I feel like the reason, and because I always, in my mind at least, if your motives are right for jumping in, like, I don't want it. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't come try to help me out just so you can tell somebody you helped me out. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't try to, and then some people are like, yeah, but you know, at least you got the help you needed. And I'm like, yeah, but see, now I got to do this. Like, that's all.
Strings attached.
Yeah, like strings attached to you. Look, just no, I don't want that, because no, it just puts a damper on the whole thing. And I feel like it ultimately makes the situation worse to me, or for me. It would make it worse. And I'm like,
it's not genuine.
Exactly. Like, and that disrupts my energy. That disrupts my space. That disrupts all of that for me. And I'm like, and I hate when people don't own something. Oh, let me tell you. Okay. Prime example. You got beef with a family member, friend, whoever, right? Like, let's just, because this happens to me a lot, and you know this. It happens to me a lot. And cut off. Everybody's cut off. Okay, fine. Like, I'm not dealing with you. You're not dealing with me because whatever, right? This negative situation happened. And the negative situation, if we're going to throw fault here, is primarily your fault, because I feel like I'm pretty much on the level. Like, I'm going to tell you what it is and what it isn't. There's no guesswork, right? But yeah, people attach their own things to stuff. Anyway, then all of a sudden, let's say fast forward 3 years later, you get a message or a phone call or a, hey girl, hey, how you doing? I don't know what happened between us, but yeah, let's just move on. I'm not good with that. Does that make like you are so quiet over there?
I'm actively listening.
I am not good with that, because now you're contacting me 3 years later, not with an apology, not with, oh, I'm sorry, I'm owning up to my ish, right? No, it's like, oh yeah, time has passed, let's move on. And can you help me? You know what I'm saying? Or can we, communicate or whatever? And I'm going, so we just gonna act like you didn't do none of that stuff, like that you didn't just like shoot me in the foot, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that you didn't like push me off the swings, like you act like you didn't do none of that, and I'm just supposed to be like, yeah, girl, let's move on. No. Like, I am bad at that, and I don't know. Jesus gonna work with me. I don't know. He ain't done with me yet.
Why do you feel like you have to be good at that?
Because
does that cause a problem in your relationships?
I do. I feel like it's such a societal pressure, because I get I feel like the response that I get from people who I would explain this to is just like, oh my God, let it go. Oh my God, just, just let it go. Just be friends. And you like, so people, what disturbs my soul is like that people get to do all type of wrong to you and just act like it didn't exist. You know what I'm saying? Like, act like, yeah, whatever. I don't know. Own your shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I feel like I can't trust, engage, or phony kick it or whatever, right? Because I'm not doing that. But like, I just feel like I can't engage with you because it's not genuine. I'll be sitting there and like my whole vibe is off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To be in the same room with you, or you know what I'm saying, other people's like, dude, it's some real strong, you know what I'm saying, vibes coming off, off you or whatever. And I'm just like, because I'm trying to like control the fact that like you don't get to just keep, as people say, pooping on me or, pissing on me and tell me it's raining and act like I'm supposed to be like, yeah, that's cool.
Well, I had that experience with exes in my life, more so than family and friends, where I've eventually cut myself off, and it takes a while for me to get to that space. And then I will cut myself off from that relationship and start the healing process of moving on and those types of things, and resetting my boundaries and with new people that I'm dating or however that may be. Well, and feeling like really hurt in the process, but having to like resolve that on my own, right? Because I'm not really getting, nothing's really being reciprocated. The energy isn't being matched on the other end, which is typically what drives me away.
Yeah.
Then they come around at some point in their healing process later on, and then they want to tell me and then they want to apologize, right? They want to apologize. They're finally seeing their role in it. They want to apologize. I've already moved on. We're not even in communication at this point. And then I will get like a message that's, just puts it all out there. Like, I'm so sorry. I did these things. Yeah. And my instant response is anger.
I mean, valid response though, right? Like,
I'm angry at first because you're now disrupting my energy.
Yeah.
Like, I've moved on. I'm doing other things. I'm glad that you're in your healing space, but you weren't really there for me when I was in my healing space.
Right.
Healing from you and our interactions, right? But now you want me to be there as your healing space.
Yeah.
When it's your time to do this.
Right. Which is basically reopening a wound.
Like, it does reopen a wound, and my first instinct is usually anger and being very cold and like, like short answer, or not responsive at all. And then eventually I come around to the thought that, they said what they said, and there's nothing I can really do about that. Then there is a sense of relief that it wasn't just you making these things up,
Right.
that
Like,
someone's actually
really?
owning up and that they're being adult about it, and that it must have taken a lot for them to even reach out to me 2-3 years later to even have that conversation.
Yeah.
And how much that may have, not that I want to take on their stuff, but just there is a sense of relief that it kind of brings it full circle for the closure, that someone's owning up to their things and that it wasn't just you, and that, okay. But I usually have to pump the brakes because like that doesn't mean that we're going to be where we were.
Absolutely.
You know, that doesn't mean we're going to be where we were. I can appreciate it as part of the healing process and coming around and us being able to heal together at some sense, you know, and having an open conversation finally when you're ready. But that doesn't mean I want to open myself up to being hurt like that again.
Yeah.
Letting my guard down.
There's like, how do I trust you again? You know what I mean? Like, how
you just trust them on a different level. It's not like a trust in the sense of I'm going to keep hanging out with you.
Yeah.
I've even had a friend that I was very close to that maybe it was a similar situation that you just mentioned where we became very quick close friends. And like a sister to me.
Okay.
And then I feel like my interpretation of what happened, because we just kind of like separate, like there was no real like thing that happened that like a big old thing between us that made us stop talking to each other. But my interpretation of what happened was she was going through a lot of traumatic things and she was kind of acting out on that. And I felt myself defending her because I felt like I knew her on a different level than our group of friends did. And I was getting a lot of different interpretations from our friend group that she's not exactly who I think she is.
Oh, okay.
That she was acting one way with me and in a different way with other people.
Okay.
And they had like, it was multiple people saying this, and they each had evidence, so to speak. Okay. Right. So I felt caught in the middle. Huh?
I said they had receipts.
They had receipts. Yeah. and there were some things that were happening that made me question too, that, you know, like, what's going on with you? Like, how can I help you through this time, you know? I felt like she then started focusing on a new career. She dove into that. She really didn't have much time, I felt like, for me anymore. And I had to protect my own energy and start moving on and without her presence, you know, and let her, and that's when I realized that maybe I'm in the way of her success, of things that she needed to get done. Not that I was intentionally doing it, but hey, maybe my energy was bumping up against hers and holding her back, you know? Yeah. So I saw her move on and she was like climbing up the ranks in her new job. We were Facebook friends for a little while after that. And then I would see all the updates, right? And then she was getting married and she was buying a house and like all of these lifetime achievement things. And it was sad because I thought I was going to be there in those moments for this person.
Yeah.
You know? Because these were things that we talked about wanting. And now she's finally getting them. And then I just didn't feel like we had that relationship. Well, I found out that she's been, you know, saying that she's been reaching out to me, although I haven't gotten any messages and my phone number hasn't changed. Right. But she's been reaching out to my family and saying, you know, asking about me and, you know, I think she's mad at me. And I'm like, I'm not mad.
She's trying to check your temperature through somebody else.
Yes. She's trying to use someone else to get through me, which I don't appreciate because I've not had these conversations with anybody else. So you're making things more than they need to be. I've not received any messages from this person directly. I have the same Facebook and I have the same phone number.
Yeah.
You know, so nothing's changed on my end. And yeah, so it almost felt like a little bit like now I'm supposed to reach out and make that connection.
Did you?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. No. But there was an instinct there that made me want to take it on as my problem, as my issue.
Yeah.
But I felt it was a similar situation where she might have been coming at me like, I don't know what I did wrong, but
what? We're not, I don't know if I can I always think of it this way, like, or I started thinking of it in a sense of like, okay, we're going to put a pin right there. And we're going to come back with our next episode of Yours
Mine and the Truth.
Truth.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.